Warning, this podcast contains sexual content, graphic language, and bodily functions. Get over it.
I'm Heather Ann Gottlieb, and this is Dirty Girl, the podcast that shares stories from real women about their disgusting habits, taboo secrets, and unruly pastimes.
Fart, burp, queef your little heart out. It's not a girl thing. It's not a boy thing. It's not a woman or a man thing. Everybody has a body, and it's disgusting, and we all just need to accept it and love it.
How can we take this to the next level of disgusting?
Okay, so here's one. Well, it's not like gross necessarily, but it's funny.
I'll
so,
take
like,
funny.
Yeah, funny. Well, funny is, that's kind of I don't do a lot of I mean, I used to play with my poo in the bathtub, but I was 7.
Oh.
This is Pseudonymph. Long story short, we were set up on a carpool blind date and ended up becoming besties.
When you poo, it's like you're the first thing you create. It's like,
Ooh.
Like it's when we first make art, our first art.
I'm somebody that definitely looks in the toilet before I flush.
Me too.
I have to see it.
Yeah. I'm always impressed when it's like really long. Like it's longer than like any penis that's been in there. So you're sort of thinking like, how does that all fit? Well, because it can bend.
I interviewed her at 60 miles an hour down the 405.
I indulged in borderline escort behavior.
With 60 miles an hour down the 405 audio quality. But as you're going to hear, Pseudonymph has a very interesting story. So I had to sit down with her again so you could hear it. What I noticed during the second interview was that she now had reached some different conclusions about her own story. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Appreciate it. This is fun. So when I moved to LA, I was sort of like a sugar baby, and I liked the idea of meeting people with kinks. Like, you get a lot of people that kind of, feel insecure about their fetishes, for lack of a better word. That's a pretty good word for it. Enter Mr. Nike. He was handsome. He was like I don't even know what he did. He lied and said he worked for the CIA, which was hilarious. Probably like late 30s, early 40s, bald but sexy. I would pee on his face for money. No sex, no, it was sexual, but yeah, so I call him Mr. Nike because he had like a foot fetish, and I would step on his face with the Nikes that he bought me, and then I would pee on his face, and then that was literally it. Like, he would leave and give me $350 and buy my next set of shoes. It was this like time in my life when I was feeling like particularly sexually powerful, and I liked the fact that I felt like I had this like key of like not really judging people for their specific interests or likes, and I was also trying to figure out what I liked. I was I was the poster child for single young woman in LA. Like, I had like the guy I was sort of dating. I had Mr. Wednesday. I had the guy that my +1. So like the person that I would like take to things with me. I had a guy swooning over me who I then dated for a little while. I think that was the one that I was dating, the one with the big dick. And then I had the Nike dude. And it was like I had this like perfect roster of men, which felt great. But now I'm dating, which is weird. I was an escort when I was 17. So it started then. It was like a total drug. Okay, so it was drug related. It was a drug related, like I was a cocaine addict at 17. I was like crazy. And it made sense, like I grew up in sort of a social world where like sex was so casual and so fluid. I wanted to be cool, and I told people that I was experienced, and then they believed me, and then I got the experience because they thought I was experienced. The next thing I know, I am having sex with lots of people by the time I'm 13 and 14, and and that was kind of normal. So by the time I was 17, it was a no-brainer. I own it, like it was where I was at. And when I was 17, it was like, well, I already go out to bars and get wasted and go and sleep with people. Why not like plan it a little better? Let's just the same thing is going to happen. So let's make use of this. For the most part, I enjoyed it. I mean, I hate, it's like, I'm not promoting the idea because obviously it can be dangerous and it can be demeaning in some ways. But at a certain point, it was just kind of like, I went around in the limos with semi-rock stars going to, Nobu and jumping on them in the back of their limo, It wasn't like I was, really exchanging money for sex. I was exchanging an experience for money. I was engaging in something that was kind of exciting. And honestly, the money thing was a turn on. So when I got older and I wasn't addicted to drugs, I tried it because, it had been such a part of my identity, and I didn't want to be a hooker or an escort, but I was missing it. Like, until I kind of changed and switched gears and wanted a relationship, it was like I missed that kind of casual element of sex, and I missed the power that I felt over sex, and I missed the thrill. And it was really cut and dry. And honestly, in that point in my life, I really just did not want to fall in love. So for me, it was like the easiest thing to do. It was like, I still got laid. People like worshiped me. I mean, it was like that. I was, like, fuck them. I mean, the money was great, but like I was someone's treat, and I wanted to be someone's treat. Like, it was hot to me, and like they would look forward to me and wait for me, and then they would leave and it would be done. And I'd usually go get a massage or take myself shopping, and then I'd save some of it, and, and I was like, I oozed it. It was great. It was, that's just honest, I mean, I changed the tune of it a little bit because I'm trying to be out like, oh, yeah, that was a part of my past. I fucking loved it, man. Like, when I did it, I loved it. Now I don't want to do it, but it's like, now I'm here. Then I was there. And to be like, in my early 20s, it was fucking fun. And honestly, none of those relationships, if I had just done relationships or like Bumble, I would have had just as much sex, gone on just as many dates, and had less to show for it. Like, at least I was kind of like, I had control over my casual. I had specific people that I dated. I could be totally sober and, feel a little like out of touch with like, what am I doing with my life? And if I brought that into onto the table, and like went on to the, the dating site with rich men, and, like, I'd get excited and I'd feel powerful and I'd feel like I had a plan. And I think that is one thing that I recognize now is like, it made me feel like I had something going on. And so until I found other things going on, then I was like, oh, whatever. Bottom line, I did not want to fall in love. I did not want to get complicated in a relationship. I love sex. I fucking love sex. Like, I love it. And I love it when it's good. But I think part of it was like the excitement of doing that made it good enough. Like sex with very casual, like cut and dry casual people was hot to me. I mean, there's sites where people just meet Grindr. You don't get paid for it, but men are literally going on Grindr and they're meeting up to fuck. Half of Tinder is meeting up to fuck. I just added something, to walk away. A little takeaway, So he came over and it was like literally, like stepping on his face, and he like, I could see him like getting a little, in his pants. It was sexual. We didn't have sex. Well, yeah, so we met up like at my place, and it was very simple. It was like, cool, wear a skirt and these like big Fry utility boots, which I love. They're like my favorite boots because they were the dirtiest ones. Like, and it was this very simple, like, look, I've got a fetish with shoes. Like, other people don't understand it. I just want to like lick them and, and, like have you step on my face. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's simple. We could try that. I was really in control of the situation, which I think there were times when I was 17 and I wasn't in control as much, and I think it kind of made up for that. So there was a lot of like therapeutic stuff going on in this like crazy kinky, sexual thing, because that was my thing. Sex was my thing. The more I talked to him, the more I like got into like, by the end of our relationship, I got into like being called goddess. This I didn't tell you. We evolved. So it went shoes, Nikes, pissing, goddess, which was dope. So yeah, so he really wanted like a dominant, like me to be an asshole to him. And I've never really done that. I can be a bit of a bitch, but normally I'm like the one being told what to do. So, but I love the dance. And if you do it right, if you come in fully with your body and own yourself, there's this dance that happens and the sensations and feeling each other out. Or like, I even love terrible sex sometimes because it teaches you so much. Recently, what I've learned to really love about sex is like the learning of like taking your time and like learning someone's body and like starting to figure out like, this is gonna get very descriptive, guys, but like just how deep they go and like where. Like, I don't know, ladies, but have you ever like taken the time to like move your partner's cock inside you and see all the different places it hits? Because it can be very effective. I'm a very sexual person. I don't think that'll ever change. If it does, I'll be very depressed. But one thing that I'm learning is that there's so much to learn, and it's constantly evolving, and it's different with every person. And it's connection. I mean, we literally have taken something that's about reproduction. It's strictly about reproduction. But we also have these like pleasure centers. So it's like taking something that is primal and sacred and respecting it and enjoying it like fully, you know, not in an addict way. It's just incredible. And there's so much going on in there that like we can't even see. It's mysterious. It's yummy. The Dom was I found through sugar daddy dating or sugar baby dating, but we didn't do that because he gave me something else. He gave me the experience of a full-on Dom sub experience. So I dated a Dom for 3 weeks. I only dated him for 3 weeks because I learned that I like dominant people, but I like sweet outside, mean inside, you know, the bedroom. I didn't like the idea of feeling subservient to somebody out in public, which was kind of his thing. And nothing against that. I'm sure some women love that. But I'm like a very independent, strong woman, which is why I like being dominated in the bedroom. So yeah, no, that was the Dom. He worked in finance. Yeah, he had a dungeon in his room. His entire bedroom would turn into a dungeon. And we had this thing. Oh, he got mad because I was too excited. So like he really wanted me to be like submissive and scared of him and like all of this stuff. And I remember him getting upset with me once because I was smiling while I put my hands out for him to tie up to his bed. Like I was like, here, you know, like ready. You walked in, hand tied to one corner, tied to another corner, tied to another corner, tied to another corner. And yeah, you have a safe word, but at the end of the day, man, you are there. Like, it is complete trust. And I didn't necessarily, I mean, I trusted him enough to understand that this was just both of our sexual preference, fantasy, whatever. This wasn't some big weird thing where I felt like he had some underlying issues. You know, BDSM does not mean you have issues. Guys, does not mean you have issues. 50 Shades of Grey did not give the BDSM community very good rep. We are great people. Moving on. Mr. Wednesday was somebody that was not supposed to be available to me because of my stature, my status in the newly recovered, you know, new to recovery and sobriety deal. So he was this beautiful CrossFit trainer. He had a kid that was like 2 years younger than me. So he was like 40, we're gonna say 40s. I hope this booms and blows up, but my God, you could figure this out if the wrong person heard this, but fuck it, who cares? It wasn't a secret. It was a secret, and then, you know, it wasn't. It was very athletic sex. Like, I could, like, do push-ups on the footboard of his bed while we're like, that was, like, how I went up and down, was I did push-ups. But I started dating, you know, while I had Mr. Wednesday. And then I would stop dating someone and I'd go back to Mr. Wednesday. And originally he was like, I'm not going to be around. And he was always around. I was like, cool. Like, I'm done. You want to fuck? Yep, I'll be here. You know, like, it's so weird. No, because like literally, like I can physically feel that it's like not there anymore. It's It's weird.
What's not there?
The part of me that I like held on to really strongly in order to
Survive?
yeah, it was a big identity thing, you know? I needed it. I needed it until I could make room for something else or realize I didn't need to have something. And I'm still completely blunt and way too unfiltered and, you know, all of those crazy things. I thrived off that feeling of not being able to be connected with that nice little coating of I'm wild and unapologetic and hypersexual. And I still am wild and unapologetic and hypersexual, but I don't do it as a coating anymore. It's just like, yeah, it's like a more advanced version of it. That's just like, it's just so weird how when we grow up a little, like we're still our qualities, but they don't form our personality as much. They're just like parts. People self-medicate or use things, drugs or otherwise, in order to not fully be present to everything going on. And I think that's actually okay sometimes. It's when it gets in the way of your life that it's bad. But so for me, when I took away all my other self-medicating tools, like it's the one thing that like kind of I had to fall back on, and I wasn't really ready to give it up. And I totally think that's okay. I think I'm also just realizing that literally right now as we're talking, because when I knew we were going to do this interview, I was like, oh, cool. Like I remember all these crazy shit that we were talking about. And I remember being in that car and just being like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you know, I got this guy, I got this guy, I got this guy. And it's totally, I was there, you know, and I loved being there. And now I've ruined that for myself because, you know, it wasn't like, oh, I was so damaged and alone, but I was like, no, it's just still that old part of me, you know? Yeah, it was totally a safety net. And it was a fine safety net. It didn't kill me. It didn't harm me. It kept me safe because I didn't trust people. I was the sex, drugs, and rock and roll girl. I was like the new kid at school. They were like, we need one of you. And I was like, cool, I can Google blowjobs. I lost my virginity to someone who didn't know they were taking my virginity. The identity that I had kept building based on the input, again, totally made a choice, not a victim of this, but I was young. And that was sort of how it seemed to work for me. Like I got feedback and I got input and I created myself because it didn't really matter who I was. I just wanted you to like me. And so I fit the persona of the wild one and the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And I remember the night, it was the first night I smoked pot. And he was total, I just farted. This is funny. He was a total player. So I smoked pot, gave my first blowjob, and then had sex with this guy. And then I walked away and realized I couldn't tell anyone because no one knew I was a virgin. By 15, you know, I was sent away at 15. And by 15, I was like doing cocaine, and I was the chick at the party that people would know you could go home with or would go home with you. And I just wanted you to like me, even if I knew it would be for the night, 10 minutes, whatever, in the fucking staircase at a party. Like, I didn't care. If I fucked you, you'd spend time with me. So we fucked. Or I gave you the illusion that we were going to fuck. Or, you know, I was the chick that you cheated with your girlfriend on, you know, like, and so I was already that chick. Flash forward to 17, I'm the other woman. I'm, you know, the only thing that changed was that I took my power back. You know, the body is a temple, but it's your temple. You know, you choose, hopefully, who goes in there.
If you could say anything to your 13-year-old or 15-year-old self, oof. I mean, maybe there's a bunch of things you would say.
So many things. I'm really glad you didn't die. And you didn't know. I'm really glad I got out of the other end of everything. You did the best you could with what you had and what you knew. And I love you anyway. As I make love to myself. Sorry, I was going to start crying if I didn't make a joke. It's not about the experience now or before. It's about my relationship to the experience. Because the experience already happened. It's already done. It does not make me any less deserving of love, of a healthy relationship, of a future, of a career. It's just one human going and having a lot of experiences, and they're over. And, and I'm actually, and I think it's the work that I've done just to be kind and nice to myself. I mean, I did a lot of damaging things to myself when I was a drug addict, like just a lot. My level of care for myself was very low. I think the most important thing is that I haven't changed because I'm scared of how people perceive me. I've changed because I'm ready to see myself in a different way. Everyone else can walk away. I got me, so I better fucking love me, man, because this is it. Everything else can change. Everyone I love can leave me. Except me. And that's cool now. Because I dig myself. Enjoy your mess. We're all messy. We all hide it so well. And we get this weird warped idea that we're all perfect except for me. Everyone else is perfect but me. Everyone else has it figured out except me. It's all bullshit. It is not that serious. Just own your shit, man. It's fun. It's so much better when you do. It's hard. People are going to judge you. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt even more if you pretend that you're not like that. And it's like subtly judgment underneath. Don't judge yourself. Just fucking own it. It's a lot easier,
I am totally psyched that I met this woman, and I admire her vulnerability. I'm so happy I got to see her grow, even in the short time I've known her. I hope that all the women who hear this are inspired to embrace their own mess. And that is it for season 1. Woo! Thank you so much to everyone who talked to me for this podcast. Keep an eye on your feed, and we'll be dropping some bonus episodes, and we'll give you a heads up when season 2 is ready. In the meantime, reclaim your shame. Dirty Girl is a podcast that you just listened to. Yay! It was produced by me, Cameron Tagge, and Alex Salem. You can find us on Instagram at Dirty Girl Pod. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, but Instagram's the best one. I post a shitload of uber feminist stuff. You're gonna love it. I am Heather Ann Gottlieb. See you next time. Until then, go shit on someone's face.
From WBDSM Chicago, it's This Sadistic Life. I'm Ira Assless Chaps. Today on our program, the Dom who wanted to date. What happens when those who practice bondage want to bond a little bit further? Turns out some rather surprising things. Stay with us.